It's a Victory Lap Monday here on the program. Anita Marks, Dan Koob with you. Anita, not only did your Miami Heat win Game 2 of the NBA Finals last night, but your Florida Panthers are going to win Game 2 of the NHL Finals tonight. How are you feeling? How are you, my friend?
So I'm great. I know it's been a minute since we've been on together, so it's great to see your Philadelphia Phillies face.
Thank you.
So a few things. Number one, great that I had the Miami Heat winning the series against Boston. This is how long it's been since you and I have been on together.
Yeah.
And I had them in 7. So that was great. But
there you go.
I've been on Denver since day one. So
yeah, how you feeling this morning? Feeling okay?
So actually not feeling great right now. I thought for sure Denver would win the 2 at home, and I know we're going to get into a deeper conversation in regards to what happened last night and looking forward to Game 3. But prior to this series starting, I had Denver in 5. That was my series bet, Denver in 5. So I'm still holding on to it. Holding on to it.
It still looks good. Miami had to get 1, right? They got 1. So Denver and 5 still in play.
I didn't think that they would get 1 in Denver. I mean, Denver's just been unbelievable at home. Their home record, undefeated in the postseason up until, of course, last night. But I mean, let's dive right into it, right? So a big reason why I feel the Miami Heat won, and huge shout out to Erik Spoelstra. I know we've been talking about it all postseason long, arguably one of the best NBA coaches still that made it into the postseason, and what they did strategically to counter what Denver did in Game 1. So let's a few things here that are really amazing in regard to statistically that came out of Game 2. This is a Denver Nuggets team that had a better offensive rating, 123 as opposed to 118 in Game 1. They had better field goal percentage. They had better shooting percentage from behind the arc, and still lost to the Miami Heat last night. So I know you're saying, well, then I don't understand what gives. If they were shooting better from the field, shooting better from 3, what gave? This is what happened. Number one, Erik Spoelstra played Kevin Love. Love came in, was able to defend because of his height. There was a height disadvantage in Game 1. Because of his height, he was able to take Aaron Gordon out of the equation. Another thing they did is they came in, they said, okay, when Jokic scores 40 points or more times than not, the Denver Nuggets lose. How they win is by Jokic being the facilitator. That's why, a triple-double all postseason long. It's been fantastic. They've been kicking butt and taking names. Well, what they did is they took away the pipeline passing lanes from Jokic last night. So, yeah, he put up over 40 points, but he didn't even get to double digits in regard to assists, Dan.
Yeah, 4 assists. That's it, yeah.
So it threw off the rhythm and the momentum and the vibe of how Denver plays. So kudos to Erik Spoelstra, kudos to the Miami Heat and the way that they were able to play defense. Really, really impressive. What's going to be interesting is now, how does Denver counter? It's all a chess match. So now, if this is the elixir that the Miami Heat have in beating the Denver Nuggets, how do the Denver Nuggets respond in game 2? Because at the end of the day, Dan, they are the better team.
Yeah.
And another thing is there's no way the Miami Heat shot 48.6% from behind the arc. They were
17 threes. Yeah,
they
17
were the
threes.
27th ranked team in the NBA in three-point shooting
yeah.
In the regular season, coming in around 33, 36%. I just, no way do they shoot almost 49% again in game 3. So I'm sticking with Denver in game 3.
I'm not worried if I'm Denver, right? For all the reasons you listed, they still had a chance to send the game to overtime in what really wasn't a bad shot at the end of the game from Jamal Murray. And they hit 6 less threes than the Heat did. And it was a 3-point game. I wouldn't worry about that at all. What I'm more worried about is the fact that I had the Nuggets minus 8.5 and Jokic to score under 27.5. So I got completely wiped out last night. That was frustrating. So this is such an interesting postseason because obviously Miami is an 8 seed, right? And we've only seen, the Knicks in 99 go to the finals in a strike-shortened season as the last 8 seed to do this. For me personally, and I'm curious about how you're approaching betting the rest of the series. I know you're on Denver. I've reached the point where if I were to broaden out, Anita, and I looked at this series from a perspective of this is a regular season game, I would stay away from this Heat team completely. They are a complete wild card team where as a bettor, I would say I have no idea what to expect from this team night in and night out. I can't imagine another team that's been given 8, 9, 10 points over a 2-month stretch in a postseason like this team. If I were looking at this like it were a game in mid-February, I would completely stay away from it. How are you approaching it?
So again, so heading into game 3, which is going to be taking place in Miami, the line right now is 2.5. I'm happy.
Wow, a lot of respect.
I'm content. I'm content at 2.5.
Okay.
I'll lay the 2.5 with Denver in Miami, right? But it's going to be really interesting. To your point, Dan, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. Can Denver win the next 2 in Miami? Do they cover? And then what that line's going to be when they get back to Denver? Will it jump back up to 8, 8.5, 9? It seems like that's what the odds makers are feeling right now. And I think you're right. Let's say, just hypothetically speaking, Denver wins the next 2. The series goes back to Denver 4-1, and the line is 8, 8.5. I'm with you. I'm going to stay away from it because you never know. And again, got to give huge kudos, huge credit to Eric Spoelstra, because when you think that the Miami Heat are going to zig, they zag. And what's really interesting as well is Jimmy Butler is not having a good series, right?
Yeah, his ankle's busted, yeah.
His ankle's busted, and also Aaron Gordon is playing excellent defense against him. He pretty much is not scoring at all when Aaron Gordon is on the court. The only time you look at Jimmy buckets, he's scoring when Aaron Gordon is off the court. That's when he's able to score his buckets. So I'm going to continue, like, prop wise. I'm sure as we get closer to game 3, Sport Trade will have the prop bets out there. I wouldn't be surprised if they have a Jimmy Butler point total over under. Right now it's at 25.5. I would play the under.
I think I'm just going to stick to totals. This Heat team is such a wild card. I personally have no real investment, despite the fact that I quit the Sixers. We talk about this. I quit the Sixers officially. I'm actually a Nuggets fan now, so congrats to me on making it to the finals finally. I just look at the totals, and I just feel like I have a better handle on the pace that both teams want to play. Obviously, Miami wants to muck things up. The Nuggets like to get up and down a little bit, but the Heat are able to force their tempo and style of play so frequently. It just drives down these totals. So some of these alt totals, as you're seeing on your screen right now, 215.5, 220.5. I think I'm going to start playing some of those. But you still like Nuggets in 5 is your play, right? I'm going to go over to the futures market here, and we'll check out what we've got. Nuggets at 75. Heat now 27. And interestingly enough, there was an overreaction in the market, Anita. I know I asked you a question and then just trampled all over you. That's hosting 101. Hosting 101 right here. Last night, going into game 2, the Heat were $13 to win the series. It was 87 for the Nuggets, 13 for the Heat. Afterwards, the market overreacted so much that it went all the way up to 33, 34. And then we woke up this morning and the market sort of took a deep breath, took a siesta, and dropped the Heat back down to, believe that last check again, 27. So if you had bought the Heat last night, just even as a hedge against any Nuggets bets, you made a decent amount of coin before the market reset this morning.
Like I said, I'm still believing in this Denver team. You've got to commend what Miami did coming out and playing the style of basketball that they did and saying, all right, we're gonna let Jokic beat us because we can't stop the dude anyway. Granted, 40 plus points, a lot different than 26, 27, 28 points in regard to what he's been averaging in the postseason. But by eliminating his pipeline in regards to his assists and being able to set up Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon and Bruce Brown and these guys, I think the onus now is on Malone, head coach of the Denver Nuggets, and how does he react? How do they change? What do they do differently? I just think at the end of the day, Dan, they are the better team. They got more depth. They're more rested. Miami, there's no way they're going to shoot almost 50% from three. Think about that. Think about how really with how that game played out, and especially the fourth quarter, the Denver Nuggets still were just a 3-pointer away from sending it into overtime. And I truly believe that if that game would have gone in overtime, I truly believe the momentum would have swung back towards the Denver Nuggets and they would have won. So I still like this Denver Nuggets team. I think they still can win in 5.
Well, you even think about like the little things, right? Like, yes, Jokic had 4 assists, but the Nuggets missed a ton of shots off of those passes. Contavious Caldwell-Pope twice fouled 3-point shooters. I think I saw a stat that on his 5 or 6 fouls, Anita, they directly resulted in 12 free throws for the Heat. I mean, you just can't count on that. I think the Nuggets are fine. They're fine.
And to your point, I want to say, was it the one play where Caldwell-Pope, he fouled Lowry? So Lowry got 3 shots from the free throw line.
Happened twice.
And the Miami Heat, but I'm saying this series, Dan, and the Miami Heat got the ball back. So really, it was a 5-point swing on that one Caldwell-Pope foul. 5 points. That's the game.
Crazy.
That's the game.
Yeah. No, if I'm a Nuggets fan, which I am now, I'm not worried at all today. Not worried at all. I'm waking up feeling great about going to South Beach for vacation where my squad's going to get to. All right, we'll move over to the NHL. Panthers, Golden Knights. The Golden Knights used a huge third period in Game 1 to win 5-2 to take a 1-0 lead. Interestingly enough, the same position they were in 2018 when they beat the Capitals in Game 1 and then proceeded to lose the next 4 games. Even still, the Panthers have been unbelievable on the road, 8-2 in the postseason. Incredible. My question to you is, Anita, does it matter at all?
Of how good they are on the road?
Yeah.
Or
will it matter in Game 2?
Here's the thing. They've never won in Vegas. So
many people have said that.
Yeah, so that's pretty interesting. So again, this is our first opportunity of speaking prior to the Stanley Cup kicking off. Dropping off. I don't know. You dropped the puck, I guess. Yeah. So anyway, I had the Panthers. I had the Panthers winning the series. I had the Panthers winning the series in 6. And my favorite play was over 5.5 games in this series. Why? I just feel that these two teams are very, very similar in regard to, I think they both come to the table with some really outstanding positives, right? Like Las Vegas, they've got a lot of depth. You don't know, given each and every night, somebody else on that roster could step up and deliver for them. They play good defense. They're well coached. They adjust well, and both of them play well at home on home ice. So my favorite bet coming into the Stanley Cup was over 5.5 games. I felt like this was a series that is either going to go 6 or 7. And I still do believe that. I also had the Panthers in Game 1, even though they've never won still today in Las Vegas. I was a believer that the time off would benefit them, like we saw the time off benefit the Denver Nuggets, but obviously that was not the case. So different mixed bag here when it comes to the Panthers. Bobrovsky, for him to give up that number of goals, most goals that he's given up in the postseason, and as you alluded to, just a very uncharacteristic third period for this team. I had the under in 5.5 goals as well, by the way, in Game 1. Obviously, the third period came and blew that out of the water. But I like the Panthers tonight. I feel like this is a team now. They're that time off, that layoff. Now they've gotten adjusted, and I do believe that they're going to counter. A few interesting stats here. They controlled over 57% of the expected goals on 5-and-5 in the first period. They had 40, get this, Dan, they had 46 penalty minutes compared to 18 for Vegas. And Kachuk, of course, he was off the ice for 10 minutes. He's their star player, as we know. 0-3 on power play opportunities, and Vegas has struggled this season on power play opportunities. So just a number of reasons why I do believe the Panthers are going to rebound tonight, and I like them to win.
So here's why I'm on the Golden Knights. I pulled up here one of our great partners, Unabated, which is a great odds comparison site. And as you can see, Sport Trade here at -133 has the best price in the state of New Jersey on the Golden Knights. And it's really not close. -133 here at Sport Trade. FanDuel, DraftKings, BetMGM, all -140. Profit, another exchange here in the state, -141, etc. You kind of get the idea. Sport Trade 4 cents better than Pinnacle, actually. Pinnacle at -137. Sport Trade at -133. So there's a lot of value on the Golden Knights. And even if you wanted to go on the Panthers, +122, also the best in the state of New Jersey, although circa, which we don't have access to here, +125. But state of New Jersey, Sport Trade has the best price, it looks like, on both sides of the market. So that's why I like the Golden Knights here for no other reason than the price. This is strictly just like a price play. But certainly conceivable, considering how well the Panthers have played on the road throughout the entire postseason. They could take this one. And you said for the series, over 5.5 games for the Florida Panthers, right? Just to recap, or for both, yeah. Okay.
Yes, and I'm feeling that way now more than ever.
I don't blame you. Fun wrinkle on the show, Anita. NFL futures. Now you brought this up. Obviously, a lot of movement every NFL offseason. We've seen Aaron Rodgers move today, a move by the Buffalo Bills, sort of a hedge just in the event that Von Miller does not recover from his injury in time to bring in Leonard Floyd. There has not been a lot of movement in the NFL futures market. Is there a move that you think, well, let me ask you, as it stands right now, what move would you like to make as we sit here on June 5th, about 8 months from Super Bowl 50, whatever? What move would you like to make?
Well, first things first, and I don't know if we've spoken since Sport Trade has put up the NFL futures or not, but I'm really big on the Cincinnati Bengals this season. I like what they did in the draft, drafting Murphy, coming in, helping them with their pass rush. Obviously, they're going to need that to contain Lamar Jackson, get after Kenny Pickett, also Deshaun Watson in that AFC North. But nobody's really talking about the addition of Irv Smith Jr., who I feel is like a top 10 tight end in the NFL when he can stay healthy. He did not have really a good track record of staying healthy with the Minnesota Vikings, but if he can stay healthy with the Cincinnati Bengals, you add him to the mix of those with that wide receiving core. Oh my gosh, Dan, watch out. They add Orlando Brown Jr. to their offensive line to give Joe Burrow a lot more protection.
A real tackle.
I know you and I talked about it last year. I don't think people realized it wasn't just Joe Burrow dealing with an appendix issue. His appendix burst. So they had to go in there and remove it after it had burst. That was a really tough start to the season for Joe Burrow. So I'm expecting him to come in and be a lot healthier and get a good start to the season. The first 2 games are going to be tough against division opponents, the Cleveland Browns and the Baltimore Ravens. But then after that, it's smooth sailing all the way to their bye week. They have an opportunity to go into their bye week undefeated, I think, and then who knows what happens from there. So for me, right now, I would buy up a lot of shares of the Cincinnati Bengals. Love them this season. I think that you can get good value with the Buffalo Bills because, as we know, Aaron Rodgers is with the Jets. So I'm sure that there's a lot more value with Aaron Rodgers being with the Jets. And I think the Buffalo Bills are setting themselves up in a really big way, offensively and defensively. I love the addition of Leonard Floyd to that defense in regard to, they've got so much talent that now you add him. You can't double team him. He with him being there, you can't double team Oliver, of course, who they just re-upped as well. They've got a lot of really good components on that defense, and offensively, they drafted, in my opinion, Dan, the best tight end in this year's draft. In Kennard. So you add him to that offense, watch out. So I really like the Buffalo Bills in the AFC East. And I'm trying to think, what was the other team I texted you today? Who
Let's see. You would text some
I
week
know
one
Cincinnati, the
matchups.
Bills.
Well,
Oh,
you were
for
curious
me,
about who's going to land DeAndre Hopkins. And this to me is my biggest point because we don't see a ton of offseason movement in these markets, including, the Jets do get Aaron Rodgers and the price moved for a day. Went from $6 to $7, and now it's back down to $6. The only move on the board, I think, that actually moves this market in a real way is if DeAndre Hopkins goes to Kansas City. Otherwise, I don't think it really matters.
I think he goes to Cleveland.
Quite possibly. Yeah.
I think
And
he
to your
reunites
point
with
about,
Deshaun.
yeah,
I
to,
think he
to your,
reunites with Deshaun Watson. That's where I think. I think he goes to Cleveland.
interesting. To your point about the Bills, I just can't get behind them. I think philosophically, they are a team that wants to play in Florida that happens to live in Western New York. And we see it all the time in the playoffs now. They're not a cold weather team. Now, they obviously lose a heartbreaker at Kansas City in one of the best playoff games ever. But you see a team like Cincinnati go in and just like whoop their ass in a snow globe because they can't run the football. They didn't do anything to address their offensive line in the offseason. I think they are, for lack of a better term, a bridesmaid until they switch who they are schematically, offensively. That's how I feel. And in terms of the Bengals, I mean, who's hotter than Joe Burrow right now? Have you seen his new haircut? I have. Nobody hotter than Joe Burrow right now. 11 out of 10.
Is it really hot?
I
I think
God. Yeah. It's like
I
90s beach vibe, like Saved by the Bell flow. Okay. It's good stuff.
I have to check it out.
Yeah, please do.
Now I remember sending you. So Sport Trade has week 1 lines out, and I love the Pittsburgh Steelers week 1.
Anita, I can't bet week 1 in June. Who knows what's going to happen between now and then? I just can't do it.
Okay, that's fine. It might be my favorite week 1 play.
Okay, it's Steelers at San Fran. You said, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Who's playing quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers?
It's a great question.
Do you know? Because I don't know.
It's a great question.
Right now, if you were to say to me, Anita, you've got to put a wager down on who you think is going to be the quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers, I'd probably put it on Sam Darnold.
That's interesting.
You think Sam Darnold's going to go into Pittsburgh with that defense and win a game?
Well, we'll see what happens with Trey Lance. I mean, I will say as a caveat to what I said about why would you ever bet week 1 on June 5th on Sport Trade, whatever happens, you can get out basically scot-free. So it's actually not a bad play. Okay, I definitely want to get to MLBI. So we don't have any golf stuff posted yet. That typically gets posted on the app on Tuesday. But why don't you run through your Canadian Open, and then we'll talk next week. We'll do U.S. Open.
Yeah, so following the Memorial, by the way, shout out to Hovland. Watch out for Hovland.
Caddying today. Caddying.
I know you don't have U.S. Open up yet, but that might be the play that I might jump on as soon as Sport Trade posts those. Because one thing about Hovland, one of the best ball strikers on tour, he's putting well. Now his short game has come around. He's scrambling extremely well. Hovland brings it. That's really been his sore thumb, is his short game around the greens. And now it looks like this season he's bringing it together. He's going full circle. Watch out. I like Hovland at the U.S. Open in 2 weeks at LA Country Club. But heading into the Canadian Open, Oakdale, this is a really cool track. It's like it literally is right in the middle of downtown Toronto. So this is going to be fun. Keep in mind, 6 of the last 7 winners, not Americans for whatever reason. Parkland style course, bent grass. The Wells Fargo is a good barometer in regard to who plays well, but Wells Fargo plays well on this track. As we know, Rory has won here the last 2 times in 2019, 2022. It wasn't played here for 2 years because of COVID, FYI. Rory finished tied for 7th at the PGA Championship, tied for 7th last week at Memorial. He's won at the Wells, and he's won twice here. So I'm going chalk here. I'm going Rory 3-1. I'm also going to put some coin on Corey Connors as well, hoping to become the first Canadian since 1954. So he'll be chasing his 2nd tour victory of the season. So those are two guys that I'm going to be putting some money down on Sport Trade heading into the Canadian Open this week.
Well, there we go. Poor Canada. No Canadian Open winners. No Stanley Cup champions since 93 or whatever. Poor Canada. Okay. Baseball. Now I'm going to bring this up. This is the MLBI, the MLB Power Index on Sport Trade. What this does is the aggregate profit or loss of buying 1 share per day on a team. to win the baseball game, right? So basically what you're looking at is who, according to the market, is the best performer or the worst performing team. 32 is probably not surprising if you've been paying attention to the trades. The Oakland Athletics are an absolute dumpster fire, and their ownership is a complete embarrassment to everything and everyone. If you were to bet them every single day, despite the fact that they're the worst team in baseball, you'd be down over $1,000. Conversely, the Texas Rangers, surprising everybody, 38-20 on the season. They have a plus 155 run differential, which is insanity. And they're doing it all without Jacob deGrom. But if you were to buy one share of the Texas Rangers every single day, Anita, you'd be up $619. Now, the other teams, maybe some of the suspects you would imagine. The Tampa Bay Rays, the Baltimore Orioles have been a surprise, over $500 of profit there. Your Diamondbacks, fourth overall, up $434.
Yeah,
That's right. The biggest swing of the week, the Pittsburgh Pirates were number one in the first couple of weeks, Anita. They fell off a little bit. They went 5-0 last week, and they jumped 10 spots. They made up over $200 last week. So if you were to bet them every single day, you'd be up $306.17. Now, this obviously represents a different sort of betting strategy than grinding out pitching matchups, grinding out splits, right? This is more of an investment strategy, for lack of a better term. So completely different. I am contending, and we're going to start this on the show today. I'm going to take one contract, or excuse me, you used to say contracts, one share of every top 5 MLBI team to win every week, and we're going to see exactly what shakes out. So let me pull up the bets that I have made for this evening, pursuant to the MLBI. So 3 teams playing, obviously Monday as a bit of a smaller slate. So I've got the Rays at $58 per share. It's a 58% chance of winning the baseball game against the Red Sox. I've got the Pirates at 63.5 against the Athletics. And we are riding and dying together, Anita Marks, because I love the Texas Rangers at 57.5% chance against the St. Louis Cardinals, who are one of the biggest underperforming teams all season, and the Rangers are at home. So we're going to track all of those throughout the week. And so it's $180.50 to win $119.5 minus a 2% commission. So in the aggregate, right, like the odds, probably not something you'd want to bet, right? That's probably somewhere around like minus 190 or something like that. But again, we're looking at this as more of an investment strategy, different from a typical day-to-day sports betting aspect. The reason why I'm doing money lines, I have a question for you. I didn't prep you for this, so I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, Anita. So a premature apology. To me, baseball is a money line betting sport. Yes. I don't like betting the run lines because
I never do
bet
the run lines.
Never bet the run lines because can you guess how many teams in Major League Baseball have an average margin of victory above 1.5? Do you have any idea? First thing,
do not.
Two teams, the Rangers and the Rays. That's it. One of the many reasons why you don't bet run lines in Major League Baseball. So that's what we're going to try. Go ahead.
So here's something that's interesting. By the way, real quick, in regard to tonight, I'm with you, Rangers. It's going to be my best bet, by the way, on ESPN
Sneak
later
peek.
tonight. So yeah, so you're getting it first. So I do like the Rangers. Martin Perez on the bump, 8-3, 3-0 with a 1.93 ERA at home. And whenever he is on the bump, bats come alive even more so. He is averaging 7+ runs per game every time he is the starting pitcher in 6, not every time, 6 of his last 8 starts. Meanwhile, for the Cards, Wainwright's going tonight, and he's sporting a 6.15 ERA. So I love the Rangers tonight, first and foremost. In regard to the Rangers and what you're talking about in regard to their win total, and I guess it's an interesting conversation to have. I never do bet the run line, but maybe do you make an exception this season because the Rangers and the Rays are scoring so many runs? Here's what's interesting. As we know, the Rangers have won 3 straight this week. They swept Seattle. The Rangers and the Rays are the only 2 teams in Major League Baseball that have over 350 runs. Over 350 runs. The Rangers have 355. They have more runs than the Rays, and they've played 3 fewer games than the Rays, and they still have more runs than the Rays. They have 10, if not more, runs in 16 games this season. So I don't know. Again, rule of thumb, I don't play the run line. but maybe you do play the run line when it comes to the Rangers this season. I don't know. Another team that I like is, and again, big shout out to the Arizona Diamondbacks. That was the team that I loved coming into the season. Their win total was over under 74.5, and they are on pace to far exceed that, which is really, really exciting. But how about the Orioles, Dan? How about the O's, baby?
How about them?
I mean, they are exceeding expectation. They've got a very young, exciting core. They're delivering both pitching and at the plate. They beat San Francisco on Sunday in that rubber match. They're winning series. I just I'm asked all the time on my radio show, because I'm here in New York. Yankee fans call in, hey, are the Yankees gonna ever surpass the Rays? Are they gonna win the division? I'm like, you got to worry about the Orioles first. What do you mean the Orioles? Yeah, the Orioles, like the Orioles have been so bad for so long, Dan, that they're an afterthought. Like, Yankee fans aren't even considering them as part of the equation of a team that potentially could win the American League East. Like, this isn't your grandfather's Orioles team. They're not.
Not even your older brothers.
No, they've got a great core. They're young, they're fast, they play smart baseball. They can do it all. They hit the long ball, they can play short ball, they pitch well, they hit well. They check all the boxes, dude. I think that there's some value in the Orioles.
She is Anita Marks. I'm Dan Koob. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll be back next week with a full preview of the U.S. Open. Can't wait for that. Anita, thanks so much. We'll talk to you later.
You got it.